The Galactic Council's most prestigious military academy, Zenith Prime, had never admitted a human before. When Jasmine Rodriguez stepped off the transport shuttle, every alien eye in the landing bay fixed upon her with a mixture of curiosity and pity. The slender, human female, barely reaching the chest height of most species present, looked impossibly fragile in her standard-issue cadet uniform. Another Deathworlder chittered, a Velcran observer, its compound eyes gleaming with cruel amusement. "How long do you think this one survives? A week? 2 days?" Jasmine ignored the whispers. She had heard worse in the survival camps of the Amazon, the combat schools of Siberia, and the deep-sea training facilities off the Mariana Trench. Earth had not sent her here unprepared. The Academy's entrance exam began immediately. Commander Thrax, a towering drachna with scales like burnished steel, addressed the assembled candidates. "Welcome to Zenith Prime. 67 species are represented here. Only 40% of you will graduate. The rest will wash out, transfer to civilian programs, or," he paused meaningfully, "perish during training." Beside Jasmine stood Kevin Chen, the only other human in their cohort. Where she was compact and athletic, Kevin was tall and lean, his dark eyes constantly analyzing their surroundings. They exchanged a brief nod, no words necessary. They both understood what the galaxy didn't. Humans weren't just another Deathworlder species. Earth was the Deathworld, the planet so hostile that its dominant species had conquered it through sheer bloody-minded determination. The first trial was atmospheric adaptation. Candidates were sealed in individual chambers where oxygen levels, pressure, and temperature fluctuated wildly. Within minutes, several species began showing distress. A Palithian, accustomed to stable methane environments, collapsed within 10 minutes. Teselkari, aquatic beings from a world of gentle currents, required emergency extraction when the pressure exceeded their tolerance. Jasmine's vitals remained steady, her heart rate barely elevated. Kevin's chamber readings showed similar stability. The monitoring technicians exchanged confused glances. These humans showed less stress than species from far gentler worlds. What they didn't understand was that Earth's atmosphere was a gauntlet. Humans evolved breathing air that was technically toxic, surviving temperature swings of over 70 degrees Celsius, adapting to altitudes where oxygen became scarce, and thriving in humidity ranges that would kill most sentient life. This test was child's play. The second trial pushed physical endurance, a 50-kilometer forced march across varied terrain while carrying 60 kilograms of equipment. The Drachner expected most species to complete it in 12 hours. Anything under 10 was considered exceptional. Jasmine finished in 7 hours, 42 minutes. Kevin crossed the line 8 minutes later. Both were barely winded. The real shock came when instructors reviewed the route data. While other species had followed the designated path, taking advantage of easier terrain, Jasmine and Kevin had taken direct routes straight over obstacles rather than around them. They'd forded rivers instead of seeking bridges, scaled cliff faces instead of finding gentle slopes, and pushed through dense vegetation instead of navigating around it. "They're insane," muttered Instructor Velcora, a multi-limbed arachnia who had served in 3 galactic conflicts. "No sense of self-preservation." "No," corrected another instructor, a scarred veteran named Morak. "They're efficient. Look at their time." They understood that direct routes, though more dangerous, were faster. They calculated risk versus reward in real. The combat trials revealed the truth about human training. While other species had learned warfare through simulation and controlled exercises, Earth had taught its children through millennia of actual combat. Jasmine moved like water, flowing around attacks, using leverage and momentum to defeat opponents twice her size. Kevin fought with brutal economy, each strike purposeful, each movement conserved. When paired against a Drachner in full combat armor, Jasmine was expected to last 30 seconds before submission. She won in 2 minutes, using the arena's gravity generators against her opponent, luring him into overextension, and targeting the weaker joints in his armor with precision strikes that would have made a surgeon proud. The Academy's medical staff made a disturbing discovery during routine physicals. Human bone density was extraordinary, evolved to withstand Earth's crushing 1G gravity. Their muscle fiber composition allowed for both explosive power and endurance. Their immune systems were nightmarishly aggressive, treating the Academy's sterile environment as suspiciously clean rather than comfortably safe. "Their world tried to kill them for millions of years," explained the chief medical officer, a Xanthari with 6 doctorate degrees. "And they didn't just survive, they thrived. They evolved redundant systems, overbuilt organs, and a nervous system that processes pain but doesn't let it stop function. They're not just adapted to a death world, they're optimized for it." The breaking point came during the survival exercise. Candidates were dropped on Cragmore, a planet designated as extreme hostile by Galactic Council standards. Predators, toxic flora, unstable weather, and limited resources. Survive for 5 days. Most species formed large groups for protection. Jasmine and Kevin operated as a 2-person unit, moving through Cragmore's nightmare landscape like they were on a camping trip. They identified edible plants, cross-referencing them with toxins they'd encountered on Earth. They tracked and hunted a Cragmore apex predator, not because they had to, but because its hide would make excellent shelter material. On the fourth day, they encountered a group of alien cadets under attack from a pack of venomous crawlers. The logical choice was to avoid engagement. This was a survival test, not a rescue mission. Jasmine didn't hesitate. She waded into the swarm with a makeshift spear, Kevin covering her flank. They fought with the kind of ferocity that made the alien cadets freeze in shock. Humans didn't just defend, they counterattacked. They didn't just survive, they dominated. When extraction arrived on day 5, Jasmine and Kevin had not only survived, they'd mapped a quarter of the designated zone, catalogued 17 species, and rescued 3 separate groups of cadets. Commander Thrax reviewed their performance files in silence. Finally, he looked up at the 2 humans standing at attention before him. "I've trained warriors from 70 species," he said slowly. "Deathworlders from planets that would make most beings weep. But you too." He shook his massive head. "Earth didn't send us cadets. It sent us soldiers already forged in a crucible we can barely comprehend." Jasmine allowed herself a small smile. "With respect, Commander, we're just getting started." And, as the Galactic Academy began to understand what humanity truly was, the rest of the galaxy was about to learn a fundamental truth. When a species evolved on a death world that actively tried to kill them every single day, being sent to a military academy wasn't a trial, it was a vacation.